It all started at the age of 5. It was a perfect Halloween night. I'd been trick-or-treating around all neighborhood, repeating the same old rhyme over and over to receive loads of candy, or perhaps apples. When I headed home, I was hearing voices, echoes, and more echoes surrounding me. Being the little kid I was, I shrugged it off and continued gobbling up all my candy. Soon it was time to sleep. This is when I thought I was safe, when I was free from harm, but no, I was wrong. Here I come. It was silent, a soft and delicate manipulating voice. I lay there still, shivering as tears started streaming on my face, sideways, landing on my pillow. I'm getting closer. Bullets can't take me down. You can't stop me. I guess I woke my parents up because they started shuffling into my room. What's wrong? Both of them asked, while gently wiping the tears from my face. It was just a bad dream. Sorry, I answered, my voice shaking. This went on for days, then weeks, then months, until a year, then another, and another, and then one more passed by. Time seemed to pass by fast. I was used to it now. My parents would ignore me. Everyone would ignore me. They thought I was mad, that I was insane, out of my mind. If only they knew. Because every night, I would be screaming at the top of my lungs, crying, thrashing madly here and there. He would say the same thing over and over. He loved to make me mad. Just when I thought everything was over, after 7 years of torment and torture, it got even worse. How? He wouldn't just haunt me in my sleep. He did far more than that now. I was 12, and at that age, he started making things worse. Besides haunting me in my sleep, he would stretch out those arms, those horrible arms, and cut my skin. He would make sure he left a scar before he left. This went on for 2 years. Now I'm 18, and every now and then, he still whispers in my ear, "Here I come." I found a knife on the street. It was old and rusty, but big. I walked over to it, and like a dumbass, picked it up. It had a look about it that made me cringe, and have a feeling like I wanted to cry. I carried it all the way home, and stuck it in my drawer and completely forgot about it. A few nights later, I was dreaming, but this wasn't a normal dream. It was more vivid. I could remember it. Every single detail. I was standing in a room, not a normal room. It was white, and I realized I couldn't move. I was in a straitjacket. A doctor-looking person walked in. He set a knife on the floor, and I realized that was the knife I found. He looked at me. "Axana, do you remember this?" Axana? Like an axe? That's not my name. Or is it? I looked at the knife, and it smelt of rotting flesh. I looked up at the doctor and nodded, and realized I couldn't talk. The knife seemed to be talking to me, calling me, and begging for blood. I couldn't control myself at that point. Before I react, I was ripping the jacket off and grabbing the knife. The doctor tried to run. I grabbed him by his neck and slid the knife from bottom or his chin to his stomach. He was screaming, but the blood from his mouth covered that up. He kicked and fought, but I held on to him. I was surprised no one rushed in. He died, and I smiled. I looked him up and down. His body, lying on the floor, gave me an idea. For God knows what reason, I took the guts from his stomach and made the kind of knot that you would hang someone with. The name escaped me. I strung it around his neck and dragged him to the middle of the room and left him, with his guts around his neck. I woke up, and I was shocked I wasn't breaking out in a cold sweat. It was about 12 in the afternoon, but no one was up. I thought this was weird, considering my little brother should be up, screaming and yelling by now. I stepped downstairs, still traumatized. I could smell something weird, like... I froze and looked at my gray shirt I wore to bed, but it was covered in blood. I panicked and looked around. I almost threw up. Hanging from the ceiling was my mom, dad, sister, and little brother, all with their throats cut from chin to stomach. I looked behind me and saw my knife covered in blood, calling my name. Today, I break out. Today, the blood will run thick and thin. I must get out. I clutched the knife, the one with when I killed them. I can't end this madness. The curse of being a psychopath. A carefree life doesn't come without a little fee. I rattle inside, screaming and hollering. I clutch my head once more. This feeling, it's eating away at my brain, my heart, and my soul. I tap on my friend's shoulder. She pays me no attention and continues writing. They don't know the monster I keep locked up. They don't know my past. It's beginning to slip. Yes! 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 I peek out my cell window. Just a little more. I grab the pencil and stab it into the table, barely missing my fingers. Everyone's head snaps to look at me. I grin shyly and head toward the bathroom. No! I must escape. The darkness fill this filthy mind. I kick around, hollering even louder. I will get out, no matter the cost. I lock the door behind me. I scream in fury, kick at the wall and pull my hair. Where does this anger come from? I reach for my boots and slowly pull it out. I'm breaking free. The light will be put to darkness. It's time for the show to start. Her footsteps echoed down the hall. Her hand clutched the knife snugly behind her back. A wicked smile spread across her face, her eyes wild and lost. She entered the classroom and locked the door behind her. It was the night of Halloween. Sarah had just moved to a mansion with her family. She got the strange feeling, a feeling that began to worry her. She got a vision, a strange vision, a vision that she was like the possessed. She wasn't in pain or anything. She was worried because when she went to her room to unpack, she heard a screeching noise. Nobody was there. She went downstairs. Nobody was there. She was scared. It was 6 p.m. She got dressed for Halloween. Screech! She gasped. She yelled, "Help! I'm haunted!" She went outside hoping to find someone. She found someone. Someone to know about her house. She just screamed. She screamed and screamed. Later that night, she had a dream. A dream that she was getting possessed by a demon or something. The next day, it was November 1st. She passed out. She woke up after 2 hours and found herself in a dark room, and she heard Psycho laughing. She yelled, but nobody could hear her. The unknown person stabbed her in the stomach, and she was never heard from again. Me and my schoolmates were having a theater show the same day that it all started. Our parents were a little bit scared of the theater that we were going to do our show. They told us that little children and workers from the theater were going missing. Also, strange sounds were heard every time that someone got missing. We weren't scared because probably they were just joking around with us. Anyway, the show started, but just when we were about to start, the power went off. The people of the theater started searching the problem, and the parents started getting worried. We were just upset. And after a few minutes later, everything was silent for us. We didn't hear our parents or the workers of the theater. We were just alone in the same place without hearing anything. Then a tiny light started shining very low, and we saw a shadow of a woman approaching. We thought that it was a worker, but when she got more closer, we noticed that she wasn't a normal woman. She was tall, with gray skin, also a long blue dress with black hair and blood all over her body. And those eyes, especially those damn eyes, like eyes from an empty soul. They were just white, without expression, just watching us. We ran, each one hide in a different spot. Then the woman started approaching to each one of the hiding spots. When the woman saw one of my classmates, she ran towards him, grabbed him with her long hands, and at the end took him away. Killed him. Blood all over the place, then she disappeared. The power returned and the blood disappeared just as our friend. We never returned to that horrible place. After that, the law decided to close it and start investigating. Now every night I see her in my head laughing, in the same place as the last time. Also, one day I dream about her killing the police officers, one by one. On a cold, windy winter evening, I sat at home, rapidly typing away at my computer. I had set up a rather quaint little blog for myself, and it was getting popular. My latest post was discussing gender equality, or rather, inequality. You know, it's pretty hard to be a woman. The constant catcalling when you walk down the street, the consistent online name-calling when playing the latest Call of Duty, and the worst thing of all, the fake relationship circle made up by basement-dwelling nerds. The friend zone. I finished the post at around 6:30 and quickly posted to my blog, thepersecutedwoman.blogspot.com. In no time at all, the post blew up, with people voicing their support from all over the world. I felt pretty proud of myself, until I saw a comment that made me stop in my tracks. It wasn't anything disturbing, it was simply the letter M. The poster of the comment's profile picture contained the all-too-familiar neck-bearded face, but something about it was different. Instead of the friendly, cheerful eyes of Fedora Guy, I saw bloody, mangled sockets. Two objects that appeared to be Doritos were stabbed into the empty sockets. A plastic tube stuck through a hole in his cheek, and it had strange green fluid pumping through it. The mere thought of it made me want to vomit. Who chooses something like that as a profile pic? The name attached to the picture was Nicest Guy. Yeah, I bet, I thought to myself. A shiver went down my spine. 30 minutes later, another comment from the same poster appeared, the letter L. I heard chip crunching sound from outside my window. By this point, I was getting unnerved, but I went to watch some funny YouTube videos, and when I returned to my blog 30 minutes later, another comment appeared. This was the letter A. I looked out my window and saw a black fedora hanging from the branch of a tree. I wonder how that got up there. The letter D was next, and I heard the sound of a liter bottle of soda being opened from downstairs. This was the turning point. I locked the door to my room and tried to call 911. Crap, my phone was dead. At this point, I quickly looked back at my computer. The last comment, the letter Y. Now I realized what was happening. All the comments spelled "Milady." I heard someone walking up the stairs. I had turned off my lights. I heard someone walking toward my room. I hid under my bed. Suddenly there was silence. It was deafening. I started to cry. The doorknob slowly started to turn. I thought it was locked. A dark figure steps into the room. It was so dark I couldn't make out what it was or what it was doing, but suddenly lightning flashed outside, and I saw something I will never forget. The hideous creature grabbed the brim of his hat, and the tipping intensified. One day, I decided to go on a small trip to the Blue Mountains in Australia. My family used to always go there in the winter and huddle around a fire in our little cottage, so I thought my girlfriend would like it too. But this visit was different. We headed up to the mountains from Sydney. When we got there, we stayed in a little cottage we enjoyed our first day with hot chocolate around the fireplace. We soon went to bed. In the night, I woke up to these large bangs outside the house. It was really weird. It did not sound like a human or an animal. I thought it was something blowing in the wind, but it kept happening at random times, even when there was no wind. This is where the strange part happened. As I walked outside, a moth flew at me. I had my mouth open, and it flew down my throat. It choked, and I could feel it burning. I was really scared, and I ended up vomiting it all out. After that happened, the door closed behind me. I tried to open it, but it was locked somehow. I ran around the house and started knocking on my girlfriend's window. She was asleep. There were little moths covering her eyes. I was really worried at this point, so I decided to wait outside and wait until she woke up. I fell asleep and woke up in the forest near the cottage. I found myself sitting next to a burning bush with a face whispering, "The crimson is here." I cried, and a man in a black cape with a hood touched my heart and told me that you can't escape, you are a victim. He told me to spread the word about him anonymously. I tried to tell my girlfriend, but the words couldn't come out. So now I spread the words through forum posts. I'm not afraid of the crimson. I know he stalks me, but he won't kill me. He is looking for other victims.
I always assumed it was me. There's scratches, there's bumps, the ones you wake up with in the morning, and maybe now it is. But it didn't used to be. I used to be him. I have never seen him, but I know he is short and fat with orange hair. I call him the Scissor Man. He lives everywhere and nowhere. You would never guess him to be the gnome in your backyard, or that little toy you had ever since you were little. He hides in those things, morphing shape until you are fast asleep, watching you while you sleep, keeping track on your every movement. He is the one who gives you those mysterious cuts and scratches while you sleep, always getting deeper and deeper until you do the work for him, until you take your own pair of scissors and cut open your flesh. See, he lives for that blood, and without it he would die. So inside your room he goes, pulls out his little pair of scissors, and gets to work.